Right. Hello, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Knight. With me today, I've got Steve Fearon. Steve and I are going to talk about how to get meetings with CEOs. I thought rather than have an academic, talk about how to get a meeting with CEO, I thought I'd invite a CEO on to talk about how to get a meeting with CEO. Steve, fairly new in role, and he contacted me and he said, why do people keep bombarding me with, I'll be polite and say rubbish on LinkedIn, on social media. But before we go there, Steve, where can people get hold of you?
Okay, so LinkedIn, Stephen Fearon, I think is the public profile name. Twitter, S Fearon. I'm not a prolific Twitterer. Probably the Capita address is steve.fearon@capita.com. Thanks,
Steve. So I've known you. I've even worked for you in the past. You have built sales teams. You're a prolific builder of sales teams and running businesses. And you also, I know that you're very good at picking a sale and understanding and finding the bits that do or don't work. Why don't you just give us a talk through in terms of your career about up to date?
Yeah, okay. I'm glad you positioned me as a non-academic, because academic is not something that ever goes alongside my name. So thanks for that. So I'm at Capita now, but I think I spent 28 years at Oracle. As you know, I joined when I was 3 years old.
You were 3, yes.
Yeah, I have to dye these grey hairs in. I held loads of different roles: sales, business development, ANC, alliance channels, pre-sales, and consulting. Over the last 15 years, I was leading Europe EMEA sales teams. We set up the Oracle first SaaS application with the CRM and demand business and grew that. But I think most importantly, the biggest learning for me was the last 5 years was in a thing called Oracle Digital, where I was leading the cloud application sales, cloud applications for mid-sized enterprises in a digital sales model. So we all know that SMAC, social, mobile, AI, cloud has disrupted our consumer lives. It's also disrupted the way we bring products to market, but it's also disrupted the buyer's journey. And the buyer's journeys are digitally transformed, so therefore sales and marketing needs to digitally transform, and that's what we did with Oracle Digital. So I wanted to take that to somewhere else that was going through a very similar transformation. I know many people are on a similar journeys, and hence the Capita. I have 2 roles there. So the first one is I'm the MD, CEO of Capita Healthcare Decisions. There we do 5 things, A, B, C, D, F. So A is accreditation, B is benchmarking, C is clinical coding, D is decision support, medical triage, and F is finance. So within that MD role, I've got IFRS 15 revenue recognition challenges, the P&L, people, product, go-to-market, the whole range. But I've also got another role, which is the Chief Growth Officer for the software companies in Capita. There's about another 7 of those. And again, how do we strengthen and drive that go-to-market? So that's sort of the potted history of why I ended up here.
Fantastic. And I know that you've been through a number of... I know when I worked for you, I said this to you the other day, which was that it was actually while I was reporting into you that I actually got into social media. You probably, I said you probably won't know that, but it was the conversation, and that will be 11 years ago this April. So
I think you've taken it much further than I did. So, I'm now seeking the advice back.
I may have become a little obsessive with it. Yes. Okay. So since you got new in role, you've been inundated with stuff from salespeople. So tell us some of the, and have you got any funny stories as well?
Well, yeah, I think if it start with sort of my views, because I've been more the practitioner rather than I put you in the expert zone. I read a lot of the stuff, and I learn a lot from what you've been posting and sessions like these. I always use the example of a good house party back in those days when we used to be able to.
When we could get together.
Yeah, we used to. It's becoming a distant memory. But all those good house parties used to happen in the kitchen. People are in there and chatting away. Somebody walks in, starts talking about themselves, kills the conversation. What does everybody do? Walk out the door, and everybody avoids that person as if they've got a BO, bad smell problem. So why do we do that in the social world and more in the business type world? I've got a few little stories. I want to go on to sort of that connect and pitch, but before I do, just a couple of stories. She said spring to mind. Just talking to my daughter this morning, she just said to me, she's 19. She said, I'm just down in the garage getting some petrol for our car, and she said a delivery driver, young guy, just came up to me and said, "Hi, can I get your Snapchat?" So it was all perfectly calm, not creepy, right? But there was no attempt to start a conversation first. So she said, no, I've got a boyfriend, etc. It was all fine, but it was just really weird, that direct piece in. It didn't work. So, I don't like, I'll talk about things I don't like, and I really don't do it. I don't like to blast out loads of random network connections or posts. There is a balance to be had. The worst is a connection request without a note. And hands up, I am guilty of that. When you're doing it sometimes on LinkedIn mobile, the button's not clear.
Yeah,
so
you have to go around.
I always feel a bit bad about that one. But the other one is I feel a bit dirty or a bit overused. I feel a bit used. Dirty's the wrong word. I feel a bit overused when I'm sort of tagged in a post. I don't mind being tagged, especially when it's something I've been involved in or in the content.
But being tagged without permission is a...
Yeah, exactly. It makes me feel a little bit, I've been a bit used there. Yeah. With an MD hat on, I think people underestimate the amount of concerns MDs have of their people and their well-being and how they're getting on. And I think at the moment there's a lot in Facebook and Instagram, where people are trying to have a glamorous life. You sort of know that they're trying too hard, or it's a bit false. The same thing's starting to come through on a professional network sites, and I think. There are a lot of well-being and strain issues at the moment from the all working at home, and we all need to be a bit cognizant of that. So some posts are a little bit show-offy for me. Everyone's got a challenge in their lives. I know I do. It's not perfect by any means, but we'll come on and talk about that hopefully a bit later. I've got some more thoughts on that one, but I like to flick through. Have a read, see what the network's up to, comment where appropriate. I use it to learn. I use it to be prompted to think about something or do something. But also, I'm not a great reader. I'm a bit dyslexic, so pictures and stories really work for me. So, sort of a few little thoughts there, a few stories you just prompted me there.
So I remember you saying to me that one of the first things you got was the LinkedIn connection under false pretenses. So this is where somebody would either connect to you and immediately pitch to you, so they're not trying to be your friend, or the common thing at the moment is that they connect to you and then leave it a week and then pitch to you.
Yeah, Paul, you're right on that. They're not trying to be. I get that they're not trying to be my friend. Like, I like everybody. They're not trying to be a friend, but it's starting that sort of conversation. You're right, definitely on that connect and pitch. Boy, oh boy. Some don't even wait at that time you just mentioned, just pitch straight away in the invite, and
what don't you like about that?
It's all about them. It's all about them and their offering, not what I or we might get out.
I always ask the question, who's the most important person in the world? And of course, to Steve Fearon is. And if you look at a photo of a school photo, the first person you look for is yourself. You are the most important person in the world, and it's all about them.
Yeah, you've got me off now in what your school photo looks like with a bit of hair and stuff back there. But you're right. Well done for somebody having recruitment services which are at 7% of salary. Do I need recruitment services? I've had about 700 over the last 3-4 months. And
700.
Yeah. And I get there's the classic standards, right? There's the LinkedIn suggested you as a connection. Great. So my reaction to that, coming back to if we all as salespeople, because I'm trying to connect and make connections.
We're all trying to sell something, yeah.
Yeah. So so you really weren't thinking of me as an applicable target because LinkedIn did that work for you? Use LinkedIn as the prompt. Don't tell me that. The other ones, I'm looking to expand my network. Can we connect? Okay. I really don't mind having a wider network. But give me a reason. What is it you're hoping for to get out? Give me some context.
I had one today that said, "I'm looking to expand my network, and I know that you'll love the content that I will share." It's like, no, you don't. How do you know that I will like your content?
It's we're all a bit. we're all a bit shy. Salespeople at sales. I'm coming a bit more with a sales hat on there. We are all a bit shy. We're all a bit insecure. So there's no one that comes to that. I think there's also the classic cut and pastes when you see those rather than being personalised. So I've had an invitation where I was called Vishal. So clearly a cut and paste. My LinkedIn does say Steve Fearon. So but I've had Stephen with a PH, Stephen with a V, Stephen with a EN. Steve Fearon. I've had the full range. It is there to be seen on the profile.
I was called Chloe the other day.
I can.
Yeah. If you squint a bit, yeah.
Yeah. So and then you said those sort of the follow-on pitch emails. Yeah. So I'm really pleased for you that your boss is in town and is keen to meet me with no agenda. Unfortunately, you've just put yourself into a content-free meeting calendar getter. And actually, you had I've forgotten the name who you were on. The last one of these was talking about listening in on some calls, and there was a point about young people trying to get the attention of older people.
Oh, with David, yeah.
I really don't mind. Actually, I'm looking for the content. I don't care how old necessarily it's there. I'm looking for the assistance to drive it. So, and then there's the full brief on all the services, and then can I have 10 minutes to tell you more or send me the calendar invite, which is even more. I can't respond to that because you haven't got my interest. You haven't asked me a question yet. You don't know whether I'm there. There's also, besides my assistant would kill me a bit if I started screwing up the calendar to a certain extent. The good point here, just as an aside on assistants, assistants aren't somebody to be worried about as classic gatekeepers. They're actually somebody to engage with too. Mine. She understands the context of what I'm going through, the priorities that we're trying to do. She has a lot of the context of the business and challenges. And actually, she does prompt me to say, actually, this one looks interesting. You may have missed this. Do you want me to do something about that? So actually getting through them is also a powerful route.
I remember when I used to cold call that it was the assistant was the person that I sold to. It was about creating the context of why I wanted to go, and it would be like this may not be right, but but the way that everybody, it's social media is about social media. It's not about pitching, and unfortunately, what people do is that they take the interruption method, so the advertising, the cold calling, and the emails, and immediately they move it to social media. And I'm sure it works a little bit, but it doesn't work getting it through to you.
Yeah, no, the interruption thing is a key thing. Yeah, maybe we'll come on to that. I think that the fact that you're in a sales journey doesn't reflect where my buyer's journey is. The classic buyer is the unaware to aware to consider solutions.
Yeah,
I might be in the unaware phase. Remember that I'm actually then have moved further on. You've got to be conscious of where me as a potential buyer would be.
So what do you see as the resolution to this in terms of what people should be doing? But as you're the CEO, not me.
Well, I think you've said it in the past. It's connect for a conversation. Okay, so the best connections. Let's maybe jump from examples of what's not great. Let's jump into who's doing it really well. Because, by the way, I have 347 unanswered invitation requests, and there might be some good ones in there that I've just not got round to. So, those of you who have done that, bear with me. But I think the best connections are asking me questions or empathizing. They're making suggestions. Somebody may be sending me some material. Let's segregate sending material, which is a classic just blast out stuff, may or may not be relevant. It's a bit spray and pray, versus sending me something that I could read that may be of interest. I don't mind if they don't fully hit the mark, because I need to learn stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm open for learning. I might not answer it and read it at the speed that they want you want me to, but I need to to be prompted.
But you want to be told something that you don't know.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Definitely. And there are I may be thinking old school, even though you described at the start as being ahead of a curve, but I'm always needing to know where that might be. I'm playing around a little bit at the moment, so I'm going to I've got a little thing here, which is a little plastic grid thing. I just did a little surfing. You set that on your phone, so I can get this to work on the camera. And if you look through it, you can play a video, which is a hologram.
Wow.
Bit gimmicky, but it's just somebody said, "Hey, I just saw somebody like little video. So it can be sometimes as simple as that. But the good ones at the moment are sending me a bit of snippets. They've done it research, definitely research. They have, they're aware that I'm not the CEO of Capita. I am the CEO of Capita Healthcare Decisions. I'm a division. I'm a CEO of a group. I have all those P&L type challenges, IFRS product, but some things are provided by a group function. So it's having more consciousness of that. Now, I don't mind people asking me that question, or having a viewpoint and then getting correction. But people are building up that rapport and trust. The good ones have asked me some questions, let me digest on it, or I've answered, and we just built it up. Maybe a few weeks conversations. They then let me know what they're doing. Send me some stuff, and they may not be relevant right now, but they're in my mind. They're in my mind because I'm where I've got to at the moment after 4 months in. I've got my head around now what I need to do and what I need to get done. I may need help. I may or may not have the budget for projects, to get them set up. Just on that point, a lot of people are working to BANT. Budget authority needs
budget authority needing time. Yeah.
Whereas I'm an ANM guy, authority needs urgency money.
Okay.
Yeah, and predominantly it's authority and urgency, and that's where I may need the help, because I might have the money. Or I may be going to think and create money from somewhere to go and do something. So don't rule me out, argue there. Work with me on that. So I think, the whole back to the old pitch thing, you wouldn't get married the day after a first date. So it's a bit of that whole conversation.
Yeah, buy me a drink first,
I'm quite cheap. But, I have a few are asking me about how am I feeling in the new job and what's the change like? After so many years at one company, what are the differences? What are your struggles? Are you finding this? I've seen this from somebody else, and they've tried that. That's really, really powerful. It's just making, it's a network. So therefore, give me some network. I think.
Yeah, and those answers. Try and create a conversation.
Yes, exactly. Balance it though, Tim. Balance it. You can really spot spin when you can see them going through the situation, problem, implication, needs to that. So I'm a bit, you're wary of that. Yeah. But it's back to think of that best person in a party rather than the one that clears the kitchen. You don't actually know much about the best person you met at a party because they were too busy talking about you, too many concentrating on you, making you feel special and drawing out where you are, asking questions and actually giving you suggestions and that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm seeing at the moment as good and best practice.
So in terms of what makes a good connection request, don't use templates. I don't like the word value, but you need to have done your research, and actually what we do as human beings is that we try and form connections. So we end up liking and trusting people if there's a connection where, like, we had a conversation before we went live about the north of Ireland. Yeah. And we had a conversation about that, and I asked you some questions about where that was, because I've been to the Giant Causeway and stuff like that, and what that does is it builds trust with people. Yeah, it's commonality. I think I've seen you make an example of somebody connected with you, ask you about, I think it was the Silver Sword. Yeah, there's a connection. LinkedIn is great for connections. There's so much info out there. You can find the report, or if you don't know, somebody else who can help you get those sort of intros. It's very, very powerful. So just to explain, I had a connection request from someone that said, "Dear Tim, do you remember the Silver Sword?" And so I went to Coventry University. It was a polytechnic then, but I went to Coventry University, and the first pub outside the campus is the Silver Sword. And obviously, I've spent a few evenings there drinking lemonade, and so of course I've been there. So it immediately created a conversation. Yeah, no, very true. So some of the things is, and we've talked also about, don't be desperate, leave the sales manual at home, as you said. That I know some clients that were they're doing a big procurement, and they have a bet on what sales methodology the salespeople are using when the salespeople come in. That's a challenger sale, or that's a spin organization. Yeah. So this is about personality, isn't it? I think I'd appeal to sales people out there, because I'm living this at the moment. I think that classic Gartner stat where 70% of the buyer journey's already happened. We know that, right? That's a well publicized thing now. But people are going, right, okay, that's the stat. What do I do? Well,
think about the unaware to aware. Think about that. What is going on in the pre 70%? How could you be engaged? Not just, hey, I'm here. Don't hit them with a solution when they're not at the considering solution stage. They're at unaware to aware. A regulation, a best practice, a new way of doing things. It's sharing that. Now, that's about managing your time as a salesperson. So make sure you invest in that properly. And I don't think people are getting to the point where I know I need to do that, but they're just blasting rather than really considering it correctly. You can be really thoughtful and differentiate. Yeah, absolutely.
People are looking for silver bullets, and
yeah, I am a Challenger Seals fan though. But it's not.
So am I. I thought the book was written about me.
Yeah, but it's not really a methodology. It's more of a teach people to control. Let's have a viewpoint, create constructive tension. You know, it's driving the it's back to conversation again. It's creating the conversation.
So what you suggest is basically do your research,
really
connect with purpose, have a conversation, and be the person at the party that people don't remember, because actually they're asking they were asking questions to you, and you ended up being, you know, if you talk to people, the best people that you like are the people that sit there and ask you questions, and you can talk about yourself. I mean, there's nothing better than talking about yourself, is there?
Yeah, and get it in, you know, move somebody who's drawing the stuff out of me to move my thinking forward. Absolutely.
Steve, thank you so much for today. Any other parting wisdom?
No, never. Always a pleasure. Never a chore.
Thank you. Remind people where they can get hold of you.
Yeah, so email steve.fearon@capita.com, LinkedIn, Stephen Fearon, and Twitter is sfearon, but I'm less of a Twitterer.
Fantastic. Steve, thank you so much for spending your time today and actually explaining from somebody who's actually in a CEO's shoes how 700 connection requests in the last 4 months.
I'm brave.
So of that 700, how many of you actually, like, how much have you bought?
I haven't bought anything yet from them, but I've probably got 4 or 5 which are progressing conversations actually based on the sort of things that we talked about.
From 700. Okay, right.
Cool.
Yeah, Steve, thank you so much for today, and hopefully see you soon.
Yeah. Cheers.